Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Saturday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Today is a rather uneventful day, I do imagine, but with that said, we're going to just be focusing on short-term timeframes today. Now, I will do a very dedicated and long-term analysis video, but I will save that for tomorrow because I want to compile everything that I can with all of the clarifications that we have gotten on these mega closures that was really going to solidify the next biases to come for realistically the next quarter and actually probably half year to maybe even a full year. Anyways, with that said, that'll be coming tomorrow. Today's just going to be short-term timeframes. Also, not a humongous focus on the Krown chain application today, but there will be a big surprise at the very end of the stream right here. Also, we got a sale going on right now, but I'll do a more in-depth job of explaining that tomorrow. As right now, we should just really be talking about the short-term timeframes. So we'll go right into the price action charts themselves. And what do we see? Well, we do see Bitcoin's more or less where we left it off from yesterday. We did not get continuation to the downside, and this is starting to look a lot like a local low on the short-term timeframes, even on the medium-term timeframes as well. But the same sort of conditions for looking for a little bit of a short-term reversal with actual, trading action, a little bit of actual edge on the other side, still do more or less apply from looking at July 2nd's high, which was actually very early in the morning for myself. But for you over there in the Western Hemisphere, probably just a little bit later in the day. Anyways, with that said, anywhere above that region, which would be 33,965.5, I would be looking for general continuation back up to our last sort of rejected levels in the mid $35,000 region. Anywhere around $35,000 and between there and about the 200 simple on the 4-hour time frame as well would look about fair game for myself. Now, of course, we still do have the same sort of downside continuation targets and conditions that we spoke about from yesterday as well. It's basically going to be taking out this 32,500-ish region right here, our target from a couple days ago, off of the failed attempt at 36,500-ish region, and then more importantly breaking below that 34,100, 34,200-ish region right here. So with that said, if we were to break this region, where would I be looking towards? Well, your next sort of logical level is going to be right back down around here, the same level that Bitcoin's been bouncing from more or less for the past, realistically like the past month and a half now, or almost going on 2 months here. Anyways, that's going to be between about 31,500 and about 31,200-ish region. And I'll just put in a nice little blue box there to kind of represent the opposite but equal target on the other side if Bitcoin were to break in that direction. For the time being right here, though, Bitcoin does look like it has put in a bit of a local low. Let's see what momentum oscillators say and if they do support that. And what do we see on 4-hour RSI? Well, 4-hour RSI did give a little bit of hidden bullish evidence. This looks like it was, yesterday, still kind of working its way up. Very sluggish price action. In fact, yesterday probably had to be the most lackluster day that we've seen in, I'd imagine months actually. Maybe even going back to last October, September-ish region. Anyways, with that said, I actually do think that we are probably looking for a move, at the very least outside of this range, probably today, extremely likely today. In fact, as we do see BBWP is on the floor right now, quite literally down around, oh man, that is difficult to read, 1.19 percentile in this case. So it's very likely that we actually do see a move. And in this case, on a 4-hour time frame, that should produce some decent results. And I imagine it's going to be more or less the same on the other short-term time frames. Yeah, 3 hours way on the floor as well. As you can see, bi-hourly is doing what? Yeah, kind of, on the same trajectory. And hourly's actually all on the ground right there in single digits. So we very likely are actually looking for a move. Probably today, tomorrow. It is a bit of a holiday weekend, of course, as we do have 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to all the celebrators out there. Well, I guess we're one day early, but who cares, man? It's the whole goddamn weekend. And with that in mind, this is looking like we probably do see volatility expanding to the upside, volatility expansion with price action moving to the upside is what I mean to say, as we do have a bit of a short-term, like I said, very short-term time frame upturn right here on the hourly, basically protecting that last sort of 33,150-ish low right here. We are getting really granular with the short-term timeframes, by the way. So with that in mind, if Bitcoin does take out the last high from yesterday, or just simply closes an hourly dildo, let's call it above 34,100, the same sort of breakdown area that we saw a couple days ago on the 1st of July, then yes, I would be looking for a rather, somewhat quick move back up to about $35,000, which, hey, that is $1,000 kind of range right there, and very likely does work its way onwards and upwards from there, as we would start to bleed into the medium-term timeframes, which we get into right now, looking at the 12-hour right here. Would this be considered a local low? I suppose, yes, if we do get back above, especially $35,000, yes, it will be considered a local low. In fact, even just back above about 34.5, that will be confirmed as a local low as well. And by the way, we do see that 12-hour BBWP is definitely trending down right here as well. So we are very likely looking at a pretty pivotal moment in Bitcoin. And while I don't necessarily want to surprise or spoil a lot of surprises that will be for tomorrow's video, I am still leaning towards essentially a pump before a potential mega dump, that is. And a pump could, come to the tune of anywhere around, 39,000 to 40,000 bucks, and as much as, 47 to 49,000 bucks. This market has been more or less sideways for the past month and a half, 2 months. So we are kind of winding up a big cause right here. And I do think that very likely comes, to the upside. Now, with that said, of course, if the downside conditions are met, I would be looking for another move back down to our low side structure, anywhere around 31,500-ish region. Fair likely another very short-term time frame bounce there. But you got to hold your breath once again, because that is kind of like the major precipice on this price action. The next big precipice that I'd be looking for, the next big pivot point, maybe more accurately said, on the medium and higher term timeframes would be essentially our rejection that we saw earlier this past week, actually, at about 36,000 bucks. That would be on the 12-hour right there. I'm curious, the daily is going to be a little bit lower than that, and in fact, a little bit easier to get as well. Any sort of a daily closure above about 36,000, I guess more like 35,900-ish region will very likely do it for me, and I would be looking for a relatively quick move back up around the 55 or 200 exponential average in this case right here, and that very likely does provide a little bit of a short-term pullback. And then yes, I do think Bitcoin would push into the $40,000 region. Again, I do think that move is going to more or less end up being a trap over time, but could it potentially pull through? Yes, and of course at the end of the day there needs to be conditions for that. And what would my condition for that be? I need to see dailies essentially closing above our breakdown levels from May 15th, which is basically 50,000 bucks, preferably at least on a daily. However, a weekly would obviously be a lot more confidence inducing. At that point, I would be more or less willing to say that this is continuation of the upside overall, and we will see new all-time highs this year. But for right now, I do think it's better to be a little bit more on the defensive side long term as it is right now. We do still see that daily did print hidden bearish divergence right here. This was actually a few days ago on the 29th of June. And did we get the totality of that move playing out? I mean, we did have a pretty damn good move, to be fair. That's 36,000 bucks all the way down to 32.5 on closing basis, which is fine. Typically speaking, you will be looking for maybe a little bit more than that. But in this market right now, when things are very, very, very low volatility, I mean, we can't really expect all that much. So this is all winding up for a pretty damn big cause, like I said, and I would not get complacent with trading within this range for too much longer, to be honest with you. So again, any sort of a move back above, let's call it 35,900-ish region, even a 4-hour closure above, let's call it even a 4-hour closure above about 35.5, I would be willing to say that yes, Bitcoin very likely does test the tops of the range again, somewhere around 39,000 to 40,000 bucks, and that's my natural proclivity, or that is my current proclivity within this market right now. Very likely a pump before a potential dump. And I think that the lower term timeframes are kind of speaking volumes right here, not to use bad terminology, because realistically volume is incredibly low. But at the end of the day, that's just telling us that this consolidation is very, 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 very mature. So we are probably looking at a breakout. I think probably this coming week. Actually, a lot of the time you do see some of these moves happen over a holiday weekend, just because it's easier to do. Less players playing the game, and when there's less players playing the game, well, it's easier to move the markets. There's just less people within the book, so it costs technically speaking less money in order to kind of do what you want with price action, right? Anyways, with that said, do I want to say anything more on this right here? Let's go check out momentum oscillators really, really quickly. Here's your, let's go down to an hourly first. Here's your hourly flip-flopping back up as long as above 33,650, which I believe was above that last higher low. So, you can see that it is more or less following price action right now. Again, we are on very, very low term time frames right now on a fucking holiday weekend to begin with. But take it as you will. Bi-hourly, same thing. 33,650 actually is a magical number right there. 3-hour is showing what? 33,100 in fact. And 4-hour is showing at 32,950-ish region. So it does look like Bitcoin is a little more primed to test some upside rather than downside in this case. I'm curious what the 12-hour says. 35,350 is the magical number right there. So obviously, if Bitcoin does get that next leg up, above the short-term targets, then that will naturally fall through as well, or at least very, very likely. And then the daily is actually up right now at about 32,350-ish region, but reaching around the bullish control zone, which usually does get a little bit of pushback on the first try. So it's still going to be a little bit of a slug market right here. And I do think that patience is going to be more or less required in order to survive the sideways chop and look for the more obvious and easy opportunities, which is more or less what I'm doing. Like, I really do not like to trade over the weekends during these environments, unless there's a very obvious trade. The obvious trades, in my opinion, are taken at the last daily high. If that happens, you very likely have like another $4,000, maybe even $5,000 trade, rather short term, with very likely continuation, into the mid deep $40,000 territory if that were to happen. And by the same token, to the downside, a little bit tighter margins here, to be fair, because I wouldn't necessarily be looking for a breakdown just yet, meaning like new lows below our current lows on like a sustained daily closing basis. But that would be still about a 31 to 31,500-ish region move, which is like a $2,000 move from where we're at right now. But realistically, I don't look at that as actionable until we're back below about 32.6 region. Just the wick low of yesterday probably does it. Anyways, this video is already 10 minutes long. Is it time to break out the surprise, or do we want to check out a few more things before we get into that? Let's go check it out over here, actually, see if there's anything of particular interest on our secondary charts. We're still following the red ellipses, so it's all good there. I guess like half semicircle, a bastardized circle. We see daily MACD loosening up on the momentum for right now, but that will turn back up with any sort of a closure above 33.3. So we actually are about $400 cleanly above that right now. By the way, for reference, CME did close at 33,285. So we are kind of tethered around that area, and it will very likely become a pivot coming into Sunday open. Anyways, 12-hour, what are we looking at right here? What do we see? Continues rise above 33,700, which we're actually at exactly right now. And what about a very low-term time frames? Yeah, 4 hours looking like wants to twist up. We're obviously loosening on the downside momentum short-term, and we'll continue rising about above 33,420-ish region. And we actually will see a bullish MACD cross with any sort of a closure above 34,130. Again, you can get this indicator yourself, so you can follow it up, over time, over today. Buy hourly, saying what? Basically the same thing. And hourly is already there, of course, too. So we see pretty much everything kind of following each other. And yeah, Bitcoin does look like it's putting a little bit of a, it's looking like it's putting in a little bit of a short-term low. So get excited for the green dildo party, of course. We have a bit of an ascending triangle going on right here. If you are the pattern trader enthusiast type, which in this case, I mean, it's more or less fine. And where would that be pointed up towards a measure move of about 34.5? Again, I would more or less postulate that Bitcoin very likely would continue on towards about 500-ish region, and then that can obviously bleed on over into our higher term timeframes that we identified earlier. In fact, I did say earlier that a 4-hour closure above 35.5 would make me look for another move towards towards the top side of the range, about maybe 38, 39, $40,000 this region. In fact, now that I look at it on the short term timeframes, once again, I'd say a 4-hour closure even above 35,100 would do it for me in this case. This market is pretty damn corked up, if you will, and the next move very likely does have a little bit of power to it. So I do think that we're getting pretty damn complacent right now with just the lack of movement here. So if you are trading on the short-term time frames, be aware that there's probably $1,000 dildo or more about to fly in your face, and make sure that you are on the right side of that, or managing your risks in a more subdued and proper manner. Of course, until we get resolved out of this range anyways, this is all kind of, just preparation for a potential trade to come. I am not interested in this right here. I will not trade this right here. To the upside, there's a few interesting trades, which you can probably figure out as what I spoke about before. And if we go through the lower term timeframes just a little bit more, I'm curious if there's anything more on like our RSI. I see TSI turning up. I see buy hourly. What are we seeing right here? Looking more or less okay as well. And then hourly, yep, same thing. So realistically, if I had to call right now, yeah, I would be looking for a little bit of short-term upside. And based off those pivots, we could definitely extend that back up to the highs of last week. And if we get some of those critical closures above those levels that we spoke about, then I would extend it to the top side of the range once again. Of course, the downside is a little bit more tricky just because Bitcoin does come back down around 31,500-ish region. It's like you got to ask yourself the question, do I want to buy the same support that's been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times on the 6th fucking time? I'll just bring you back to 6,000 Bitcoin a couple years ago. And, it's it was a pretty damn good buy for about a year straight, and then just teleports to the downside. So that's what I would be a little bit concerned of if I was playing that bounce. It's pretty damn easy to play, the last few times. In fact, I stopped playing it after this one over here. And now it's like, if it goes down, I don't really want to trade it right now. I'll trade it lower if I can, or maybe just miss out altogether. That's fine too. But I will trade that sort of uncertainty for a little bit more clarity within this price action. We'll just do one last little thing before we move on to the final surprise, the finale today. And what do we have right here? The volume profile. And yes, still, again, if you are looking at this as Wyckoff accumulation, I would strongly suggest you take a look at the volume profile. You really want to see thicker nose at the bottom of what would be your accumulation zone. That is quite literally what tells you that it's actually getting fucking accumulated, right? Think about it logically. Instead, we actually have the opposite as of right now. So if Bitcoin is going to flip around to be long-term macro bullish, I still think that best case for Bitcoin bulls is going sideways, holding the, about the $30,000 level for another couple months, maybe 2-3 months, something like that would be about right. And I personally speaking, if I was crystal balling this bullshit, I'd be looking at something like this. I'd be looking at, a nice move to the upside, probably from somewhere around here, maybe over this next week or two, probably in line with the Ethereum, mega upgrade coming, as they do have their deflationary new update, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't even know. I think it's called, what is it, London or Berlin? Who knows? Anyways, the narrative is that Ethereum's having a major upgrade that makes it deflationary, and maybe Bitcoin plays along with that. So we see a nice move to the upside, maybe somewhere in the mid deep $40,000 territory. Gets rejected, comes back down into range, and then holds the lows once again for another month or two. At that point, I'd actually start to feel pretty damn comfortable with being long-term macro bullish. But until then, I do think that there's a lot of concerning things, coming up in the next couple months here. So we'll be speaking about that in detail tomorrow. But for right now, short term, yeah, things look okay, I suppose. Anyways, with that said, it's time. It is time. It is time. It is time. We must now listen to the biggest surprise of them all, the one surprise to rule them all. And here we go. Virgin till doggy hits $1. Let's see, is that even possible at any point in time? In fact, it would be a good time to go check out. Oh, Dogecoin! Oh, he's rolling over. It's only just begun, my friends. It's only just begun to die. Doggy will roll over and come back below 10 cents. It's only just begun to get wrecked. Fuck your doggy coins. Go back to the shitcoin gutter. What do you mean, no? What do you mean I shouldn't sing? I have the voice of an angel, and you're being mean and rude and stomping on my parades. Yeah, you're a hater, sir. You are what is known as a hater. And that's it for today, my friends. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Have a nice fucking Saturday. See you soon, and tomorrow a big long-term analysis. With that said, take care, salute you, and see you soon.